Hello everyone and welcome to the project management course. My name is Nurhat Ibadildin. I'm an associate professor at School of Creative Industries and I'll be the lecturer for this course. So today we will start with lecture 1, which is about introduction to project management. So in order to understand project management, let's start with definitions. And what is a project? Yes, so if you will look at the definition of a project, it is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Yes, so what's important in this definition, that it is temporary, so it means it has a clear start and clear end, and we are creating something new, something unique. And that's why there is a need to understand how project managers work. So in order to elaborate on the previous definition, we can look at these details, that the project should have a specific objective to be completed within certain specifications, should have defined start and end dates, funding limits if applicable, yes, because there are infrastructure projects where the budget is unknown till the end of the project. Then the project will consume human and non-human resources such as money, people, equipment, time, and are multifunctional. Yes, so when you're working on the project, you're working with cross-functional teams where there are members of the team from different departments with different competencies. Now let's take a look at 5 process groups. Yes, so when you're working on a project, you will see that these process groups are initiation, the start or launch of the project, where project sponsor will decide whether to proceed further with this project or not. Then planning, yes, after the project was initiated, then you will do the planning. Yes, and we will talk more about planning later on when we will look at the difference between predictive and adaptive approaches in project management. Then after you finished planning, you have finished your project management plan, then the next process group is execution, where you start executing your project. And while you're executing your project, you need to monitor and control your project, and if there are big differences between what was planned and what is executed, then you will take corrective actions and you will launch change request. And then after you finish your project successfully, then the last process group is closure. And during the closure, usually you transfer all the documentation to the client who ordered this project, then also manuals and all financial data and the product itself. Yes, so it depends on the type of the project. Also during the closure, you want to create a knowledge base where you will keep all the templates and all the analysis about your project, so that if you do similar project in the future, you won't start from scratch, you will use the templates from the previous project. Also at the closure, you will decide what to do with team members, whether to transfer them to the next project, or if there are no project in the nearest future, you let them go with recommendations. So now let's take a look at project initiation in more detail. Yes, so here we're doing the selection of the best project given resource limits. Usually the organization faces several projects to pursue, and then top managers will decide which projects will be funded. Then in order to do so, you need to explain the benefits of the project. Yes, do the benefits analysis prepare all the documents to sanction the project. Yes, if there is a green light, then you will prepare project charter, which will be needed in order to launch the project, and when it is approved, it will be the official start of the project. And then also you will assign project manager during initiation process group. So as you can see, during the project initiation, you will choose a project among several projects, and usually top managers choose the project that is aligned with strategic goals. And then you can put like different weights on different factors, and it will help you to make better choices. Then after project initiation, you will do project planning. Yes, so you will define work requirements for a project, the quality and quantity of work that you will do throughout the project, what kind of resources you will need, schedule the activities. Usually you will prepare a Gantt chart, and then you should evaluate various risks, yes, the impacts and probabilities of occurrence. Yes, so usually you will prepare a risk register, and in this risk register you will need to mention the risk response for each risk, especially for the risks with high impact and high probability. Then after the project planning, the next phase is project execution, where you will negotiate for the project team members. Yes, so you want highly competent professionals in your team. Then you will be directing and managing the work as a project manager, and apart from working on the project, you will also work with the team members so that you help them to improve. Yes, so this is not the main goal, but it's important goal so that you can prove yourself as a good leader and a mentor for your team members. And while you execute the project, you need to monitor and control it. So what does it mean? So you need to track the progress of the project, compare actual outcome to predicted outcome, or compare the planned results with the actual results, analyze variances and impacts on the project. So if your risk was realized, how will it impact the schedule, yes, and the budget of the project? And then if necessary, you will make adjustments. So usually your change requests will go through change control board. And then the last phase of the project is a closure. Yes, so hopefully you finish your project on time and within the allocated budget. And what will you do during the project closure? So you will verify that all of the work has been accomplished. Yes, that all the work was done. Then contractual closure of the contract. So it means you will sign all the necessary documents and transfer them to your client. Financial closure of the charge numbers. Yes, so usually you will work with accounting department. And then administrative closure of the paperwork. Yes, so all the papers you need to account for, and then they should be in place. Okay, so how would you distinguish successful and unsuccessful projects? So you can have certain project objectives. So successful project management can be defined as having achieved the project objectives within time, cost, at the desired performance or technology level, while utilizing the assigned resources effectively and efficiently, and accepted by the customer. So this is requirements in order to consider the project successful. So what are the potential benefits of the project management? Well, when you understand project management, it will help you to identify functional responsibilities to ensure that all activities are accounted for regardless of personnel turnover, minimize the need for continuous reporting, identify time limits for scheduling. Also, you will choose the methodology approach for your project, measure your accomplishments against plans, yes, compare your actual results with planned results. Then you will early identify problems so that you can take corrective actions, improve estimating capability for future planning, and know when objectives cannot be met or will be exceeded. And based on that, you will decide what to do with this project, whether to continue it or cancel it. Yes, so these are the benefits of the project management. However, there are also obstacles that you would face as a project manager or as a team member of the project. So usually projects are complex in nature. Then customer will have special requirements, and based on their feedback you will need to do scope changes. Then you might face organizational restructuring when you will not be getting enough resources from current organizational structure. Then there are project risks that you should consider and also think about risk responses. Then changes in technology. So you've started with one technology, and then on the market you will see another much better technology. Then you should think about forward planning and pricing, yes, especially during the change in exchange rates or inflation, and it's kind of not so easy to predict exactly these changes in advance. If you are an experienced project manager, you can overcome these obstacles as you are getting more experience while working on the projects. And it's a good idea to think when you're working as a project manager about the systems, yes, to see the big picture or the whole system. Why is it necessary? So usually when you look at the organization, you will see management gaps between top managers, middle managers, and other employees. And then there are also functional gaps between different departments. They might not communicate or collaborate with each other. And then if you combine management gaps with functional gaps, you will have operational islands. And as a project manager, you can overcome these obstacles by collaborating for resources with different departments. That's why project managers should develop their soft skills so that they can negotiate for different types of resources with different departments. So, and here is a more detailed definition of project management. After you know all this information, you can understand better that project management is the planning, organizing, directing, and controlling of company limited resources for a relatively short-term objective that has been established to complete specific goals and objectives. So project management utilizes a system approach to management by having functional personnel, yes, vertical hierarchy assigned to a specific project, the horizontal hierarchy. So, and now let's compare how project management is different from classical management. And there are 5 functions or principles for classical management, which are planning, organizing, staffing, controlling, and directing. So what is the difference with project management? So you will see that for project managers, the staffing function is omitted. Yes, it's not included because project manager does not staff the project. Staffing is a line responsibility, which is an obstacle for project manager. So the project manager has the right to request specific resources, but the final decision of what resources will be committed rests with the line managers. and how to understand what are the limitations or borders of the project management. Well, you can use this management triangle. Yes, so when you are working on the project, you will have limits such as time, cost, performance, technology, and all of them will be tied to resources. Yes, and at the same time, you need to keep good customer relations in order to succeed, because at the end of the day, the client will be accepting or not accepting the results of your work. So, and now let's move on to the next definition of deliverables. Yes, so as you are working on a project, you need to deliver the results of the project. So there are interim deliverables and final deliverables of the project. And you as a project manager, you may very well be assigned based upon the size, nature, and scope of the deliverables. Yes, so the deliverables are outputs or the end result of either the completion of the project or the end of a life cycle phase of the project. So let's take a look at different types of deliverables. Usually you can look at deliverables from this point of view, such as hardware deliverables, such as table, prototype, piece of equipment, software deliverables. Yes, usually if you're IT manager, you will deal more with software deliverables, such as reports, studies, handouts, documentation, or software itself. Yes, so, and depending on the company, it may not differentiate between hardware and software deliverables. Yes, so usually you will be dealing more with software deliverables as IT professionals. And then there are interim deliverables. Yes, they can be either hardware or software deliverables, and they will be delivered at the different stages of the project. Yes, so an example might be a series of interim reports leading up to the final report. Okay, so these are different types of deliverables, and while you're working on a project, you need to understand what is expected from you. Yes, what kind of deliverable. Yes, so if you're working hard but you do not deliver, it's not a successful project. Yes, so keep that in mind, what kind of value you are bringing to your customers and what deliverable they're expecting from you. Another factor influencing the selection of the project manager would be stakeholders. Yes, so who are the stakeholders? They are individuals or organizations that can be favorably or unfavorably impacted by the project. Yes, so, and as a project manager, you must interface with these stakeholders, and depending on the stakeholder, they will exert the influence or pressure over the direction of the project. And often than not, the stakeholders, they have different interests, different influences, and you need to distinguish what kind of stakeholder you are talking to and how to do it properly. So, and in order to understand better stakeholders, you might think about different categories of stakeholders, such as organizational stakeholders, product or market stakeholders, and capital market stakeholders. So now let's take a look at the examples of different types of stakeholders. Organizational stakeholders are executive officers or top managers, line managers from different departments, employees, and unions, labor unions. Yeah, so these are organizational, or you can also call them internal stakeholders. Then when you are talking about product or market stakeholders, you will talk about customers, suppliers, local committees and communities, governments, yes, regulatory bodies, government agencies, and then general public. And last but not least, type of stakeholders are capital market stakeholders, which are shareholders of the company. If it is a publicly traded company, then creditors, usually banks or some financial institutions, and then banks. So these are capital market stakeholders, and they're more interested about the results of the project and what kind of value your project is bringing to the company. And as you can see, with different stakeholders, they have different interests, different influence, and as a project manager, you need to manage communications with different types of stakeholders. And in order to do so, you can use stakeholder map, yes, and you will have on x-axis influence of stakeholder and on the y-axis interest, yes, and there are 4 quadrants, and then based on the quadrant, yes, you will think what to do with this particular stakeholder. Yes, so if the stakeholder has a lot of influence and interest, then you will manage most thoroughly. Yes, so for example, your project sponsor or project team members. Yes, so you will manage them most thoroughly, meet like almost every day. Then if the interest is low but high influence, you should anticipate and meet needs of, for example, top managers of the organization. Then when interest is low and influence low, regular minimal contact is required. So for example, government agencies, you will send them reports, for example, quarterly. And then when there is a lot of interest but not a lot of influence, you will keep them completely informed. Yes, so for example, general public wants to know about your innovative product, and you will do press releases like every month, for example. So now let's move on with the definition of project success. Yes, so I will remind you that the project will be considered as successful when you will do it within the allocated time period, within the budgeted cost or less, at the proper performance or specification level of the client, acceptance by the customer or user, minimum or mutually agreed upon scope changes, which is always debatable because it depends more on what's going on in the industry in this particular domain of knowledge. And then without disturbing the main workflow of the organization, especially if it's not the main activity of the organization, without changing the corporate culture. Yes, so and you need to understand the corporate culture because different companies, they have different attitudes towards projects. Yes, so it can be like projectized company where project managers have a lot of power and influence, or it can be functional company when they do not have a lot of projects and the project managers, as a result, they don't have a lot of power. As a project manager, you will interface a lot with line manager about the money or financial resources, manpower, then equipment, facilities, materials, information and technology. Yes, so you need to keep that in mind and understand who is responsible for which part of your project, that it will help you to communicate with them more effectively. Successful project management dependent on a good daily working relationship between the project manager and those line managers who directly assign resources to projects. Yes, so if you want a particular specialist, you will talk to a line manager. And then the ability of functional employees to report vertically to line managers at the same time that they report horizontally to one or more project managers will have a potential for the conflict, and you need to keep that in mind. So now let's define more correctly the project manager's role. Yes, what is he or she doing on the project? So as a project manager, you will be integrating the activities necessary to develop a project plan. Also, you will integrate the activities necessary to execute the plan, and then when it's needed, you will integrate activities to make changes to the plan. Okay, now let's visualize what we talked about, integration management. Yes, so we have inputs, these resources such as capital, materials, equipment, facilities, information, and personnel, and we apply to them integrated processes, and our outputs from the project will be products, services, profits. Yeah, so this will help you to understand the importance of a project manager and help you with expectations. What are the deliverables you need to give to your clients? So, and the term interface management is often used for this role, which can be described as managing relationships, yes, with line managers inside the company. So as a project manager, you need to develop good relationships with your project team, between the project team and functional organizations, between the project team and senior management, and between the project team and the customer's organization, whether an internal or external organization. As you can see, a project manager is managing all these relationships, and you need to have understanding these relationships and also develop soft skills. So, and while we're defining the project management's role, we need to think that project manager is like a general manager and gets to know the total operation of the company, because he or she is negotiating for the resources and needs to understand the business process of the company. So, and project managers get to know more about the total operation of a company than most executives, and that is why project managers are often used as a training ground to prepare future general managers who will be capable of filling top management positions. Thank you for your attention. So this is a reference for this lecture, and see you in the next lecture.